Welcome back to Connect MKE. I'm your host, Kristin Brey, and today we've been talking about National Foster Care Month, which is meant to honor the people who support children throughout their journey to find a permanent home. Our next guests are Susan Conwell, who is the Executive Director of Kids Matter Incorporated, and Lance Jones, who is a legal advocate for the Court-Appointed Special Advocate Program, also known as CASA. Good morning, and thank you for joining us in the studio today.
Good morning, and thanks for having us.
Good morning.
I know neither of you are new to the show, so welcome back. But taking a little bit of different angle from maybe the topics that you've covered the last couple times you've been on, as we're talking about the foster care program and National Foster Care Month, understanding that there is multiple different ways that, whether it's family or foster parents more formally, can get involved, but what is the difference as far as trying to navigate once you have responsibility for taking care of a child for a short period of time, long period of time, or potentially for a very, very long period of time?
Sure. Well, Oriana talked about formal kinship in a way. What often happens for relatives is they'll get a call, can you come get Jimmy? And it's midnight. Or if you come to Iowa and pick up this child that is related to you and bring them back, they don't have to go into foster care. So when people are, most people do want to step forward and help anyone in their family, and it's a wonderful thing. And just as a matter of context, for every child in formal foster care, there's another 19 that get taken in by relatives. So the informal caregiving is way bigger. And actually, kinship care is the theme of Foster Care Month this year. So it's a big thing. And it's a challenge to navigate, and I'd be happy, is that?
Absolutely. I mean, I think that's something for anyone who has their experience with foster care is watching This Is Us, right? Okay. And that storyline for the last couple seasons. There is assumptions about what being involved in the system as an adult, as a youth, can look like, that I think most people's experience with it is through fictional shows and movies.
Absolutely.
But the reality of how complex and overwhelming trying to navigate this system, we don't have to go super in depth, but just kind of showing some light on what the reality of that is.
Yeah, well, absolutely. We're at a point where 1 in 10 kids will be taken in by someone during their lifetime where there's neither parent in their household. So the vast majority of those are going to get help from a family member. So this would be a typical scenario. An auntie gets a call and a relative is having a problem. Given the pandemic, let's just make it's a problem with an addiction. And there's been a safety issue related to the child. They're going to get a call from CPS, can you come get this child? Because they're a safe relative. Now, at that point, they don't probably know anything. Most families that we work with have never been involved with any system at all, child protection or, treatment or just anything. So it's important for families to reach out. We're always happy to help and get a little more information, because how they answer that question, either absolutely yes, I want to take this child, or absolutely yes, I want to take this child, and can you tell me more, will make a difference in the kind of resources they get. So formal foster care will involve a court order and somebody to help get services to that parent. Yes, I'll take that kid, don't tell me anything else, means you're navigating whatever help that parent needs for as a family on your own. And as we all know, sometimes grown-ups in trouble don't take kindly intended recommendations from family members. So it's basically, if you're a formal foster care parent, you're absolutely going to get these amount of resources because there is a program set up. Yes.
If you're a family member and it's more informal, unless you ask for them, it is not something that's necessarily provided.
You don't, absolutely, yeah, no, that's exactly right. If you don't ask, you will not have the option then to use formal foster care, because once you say yes, they are safe with you. And now you get to figure it out on your own.
Which is so easy to do in our
it's
legal
so
system,
simple,
isn't it? When you're
right?
not a lawyer.
Well, there's the legal system, the treatment, it's like at medical care for the child, insurance for the child, how are you going to pay for daycare? all sorts of things. So,
Well, and that might be a good transition because I'd love to hear more about the different programs that Kids Matter Incorporated promotes and provides to all your different constituents. And so I would love to hear more about, I think it's Fostering Healing, Fostering Hope packages, and then CASA.
Sure. So just Fostering Healing, we're multidisciplinary because just as we mentioned, one of the initial challenges is how do I even get basic medical care for the child? And these days, grandma can't just take a child to the doctor. You need to have a legal decision maker. So we will help people for free navigate all those questions with the legal system. We also have social work help and counselors because kids are often coming from crisis situations and there are long waiting lists for help. So we kind of try to meet people where they're at and let families identify that. I will say we worked with a family once, and this is just a simple example, but where their first need was laundry soap because she'd just taken in so many related children. And we typically go to people's homes by invitation, do home visiting because it's easier than putting all the kids on the bus or whatever. And one of the children was standing, banging their head into a wall. And so, okay, it's a start, laundry soap, but there's a few other challenges. It had been a very traumatic situation. And it's very normal for people to go right to the concrete things that they can manage. And then there's, the layers of the onion for all of us to be able to help navigate those situations. As far as Fostering Hope and CASA, one of the great gifts, this is a very generous community, and we get to partner with people all the time in a wide variety of ways. So Fostering Hope packages are a project that we do for kids who are entering care, and lots of groups help out. We love our kid-to-kid initiatives, and all of our service groups, businesses may do a drive. They'll put together backpacks, duffel bags that have essential items for kids, depending on the age, a teddy bear, a blankie, just a pair of pajamas, things that make somebody feel more welcome. So, and then also school supply drives, because our kids switch schools as much as people try to keep them in one school, a little often. And also tons of volunteering opportunities, and I'm going to stop there because Lance is the expert.
Thank you, Sue. So the Court-Appointed Special Advocate Program, commonly known as CASA, is part of a national movement. There are over 975 locally controlled and operated CASA programs in the United States. And the key for each of those programs is to advocate for what is in the best interests of the child. And so this is something that is comprehensive, including what's going on in court, what's going on in school, what's going on in the family.
And so I think that's something that a lot of people don't know, that this is something that's completely separate from a caseworker, from an attorney. And so and it's not something that necessarily every child will receive, a CASA who's just appointed to them, correct? Mm-hmm. And so what are some of the benefits or differences that a CASA actually provides?
The CASA engages in what we call relational advocacy. Professionals, lawyers, doctors, psychologists, they see children typically in one environment, whether it's the counseling suite or in the school. CASA volunteers see the children in all of the different environments in their lives, with their families, in school, in community activities. And then they take that information and they make recommendations to the court in order to help the judge make better decisions about what this child needs, what could be helpful to this family in the journey toward reunification, or if that is not possible, in identifying the best relative to provide substitute care, or what that child needs in a foster home or group home environment.
Interesting. And so what does it take to become a CASA? I'm guessing you can't walk off the street and just decide.
No, yeah, but that's the start. You walk off the street, and that begins a relationship with Kids Matter. We want to get to know you, so we'll ask you to fill out an application. You have to be 21 years old to be a CASA volunteer. You would also take part in a background check because we want to know more about you and make sure that It's good for the child, but also something that wouldn't be not good for the adult who's volunteering. Then you participate in a 33-hour training that takes place over the course of approximately a month. That compares to approximately 45 hours of training for a foster parent.
Okay.
So CASAs are highly trained volunteers. And because they're volunteers, they're typically the only person in the courtroom that is not being paid to be there. And that gives what they have to say extra weight for the judge.
Absolutely. So it's probably a good time to promote. If anyone would like to become a CASA, do they just reach out to you personally?
Reach out to Kids Matter,
Okay.
and whoever answers the phone will connect you with a member of our CASA team and help to get you connected with the resources that you need to explore becoming a CASA volunteer in Milwaukee County.
Absolutely. That's something that I've heard about the program before even moving back to Wisconsin, and was happy to hear that we have a program here, because it seems as though a very valuable resource for children to have, and to be able to be that objective voice in the court.
For those who are looking at becoming a foster parent, but it may not be the right time for them, for whatever reason, becoming a CASA volunteer is often an excellent alternative, because you are an advocate. You speak up, you matter, and you are there for that child. And that's something that foster parents do too. But CASA volunteers do not provide custodial care. They are advocates.
Interesting. That's wonderful. Thank you for expounding on that. Finally, just final question. I would love to hear any positive stories, the recent or prominent, as far as to highlight everything that's happening this month.
Sure. So one of the very best things that we get to have in our lives all the time is kids who are wonderful successes coming out of foster care. So one of our young people is actually streaming on Yahoo News today.
Wow.
Wrote an article for USA Today that got picked up by Yahoo News, and is becoming a very well-known writer and media influencer. That's Kaya. And certainly many of our kids are, I think that many of the kids would say foster care saved their lives, right? Or certainly not that the path was easy, but that it really helped them get to a new point of safety and an ability to go on to college. I think that's one of the things Lance and I want to talk about, is this mythology that kids aren't succeeding because so many do. And they want to hear more people being engaged in helping them to succeed. So
Absolutely. And that's why I want to highlight as many of the good stories, because I think we do hear a lot of the bad, but there is plenty of success stories. So
Yes, one of the things, so I get to go to a lot of weddings and graduations and lots of really fun things. And I think that it's really been a gift to be a part of so many kids and families' lives. And whether it's parents coming back saying, look at how great the kids are doing after they're reunified, or volunteers who've stayed in a child's life for 15 years after they're 18 already, I want to say, right? So it's really great.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for your work. Thank you for coming in today. It goes without saying, all of the work that you do is so impactful to our community, so thank you. Susan Conwell is the Executive Director of Kids Matter Incorporated, and Lance Jones is a legal advocate for the Court-Appointed Special Advocate Program, also known as CASA. For more information on anything we discussed, you can visit their website at www.kidsmatterinc.org. And that is going to do it for today's show. I'm your host, Kristin Brey. Thank you for watching, and I do hope you'll join us again next week as we discuss the issues and introduce you to the people who are making a difference in the city where we live, work, and play. Have a great day.